Alright, YouTube, some cursory digging into the White House visitor logs shows that Bob Creamer, who's seen on the O'Keefe tape, actually in both parts, visited the White House a number of times over the span of some course of time. I wonder why he was visiting there. Could it be that he was discussing election rigging? Possibly, although it's also possible that most of the talk was about the Iran deal. Apparently, Creamer was involved with that too. Now, this is a sticky issue. Most Americans don't agree that the Iran deal was a good deal. I myself am ambivalent largely about Iran. I realize that they're a Russian proxy. I realize that if they had the means, they'd develop nuclear weapons. Then again, so too are the Saudis, according to Clinton herself. I'm not particularly concerned because they are behind North Korea in terms of their development of such weapons. Not exactly a threat to the United States. They don't have the ability to do anything to us. The real threat would be, I guess, regional. Maybe the Turks that are in NATO would get attacked. The Saudis, who are probably the most worried. Supposedly the Israelis, although they've developed nuclear weapons outside of the NPT. So for the average voter, this probably matters more than it matters for me, honestly. Because I don't care about Iran. I'm ambivalent. They're Muslims. I don't agree with Islam. The fact that they're Shia as opposed to Sunni is no real consolation in that regards. They are run by a tin horn regime, essentially. Although, lately a bunch of what you could consider westernized style liberals have been gaining dominance in Iran, so I'm not sure that they'll always remain an issue. I think the lingering tension largely goes back to the fact that the U.S. overthrew the first secular regime that was installed there in favor of hardliners that then turned around and stabbed us in the back. It's a little bit like what we did with Saddam Hussein or what the British did there in saying, oh, the Baathists, okay, we can deal with you. At least you're not, this nationalist group that wants to split our colonial, post-colonial possession up, keep the oil flowing, I guess. But it is a little bit odd that Robert Creamer would be visiting the White House so many times. And supposedly, according to the damage control I'm seeing from the CTR and DNC rapid response shills, supposedly Creamer's a non-issue because, oh, who cares about him, whoever heard of him? Well, if he's helping to push the Iran deal, visiting the White House dozens of times, or at least requesting to visit dozens of times, that's not a low-level Democratic operative. That's somebody with serious muscle within the Democratic Party. Even somebody who just visited Obama a couple times would be considered maybe higher echelon. Somebody who's visiting him dozens of times, yeah, that's a major deal, especially when he's caught on tape openly discussing the fact, yeah, we can fund your voter fraud scheme. Of course, the investigation that was performed, essentially what it was, in some of these cases was people posing as Democratic operatives approaching these higher-ups to try to solicit funding to commit voter fraud. And apparently, Creamer, Fovel, Vargas, and others had no problem with this, have done it before, number one, by their own admission. Number two, are still doing it, still attempting to, for instance, antagonize at Trump rallies, which itself is not illegal until they start paying mentally ill people to take a swing at someone. Yeah, that's definitely illegal. Bussing people around and so forth. Apparently, this is ongoing even right now. The DNC has responded by saying, oh, but these things never happened. But the thing is, your own operatives, people that were in connection with the DNC, that were indirectly talking to you the whole time, were actively planning to do these things. So how can anybody have faith in the electoral process if this is going on, with people like Creamer or Fovel openly admitting this? And apparently these people are so stupid, by the way, they didn't realize they had even been infiltrated by somebody who they probably should have been on the lookout for. This just speaks again to the incompetence. I'm not surprised. With all this evidence of incompetence within the Democratic Party, I'm not surprised that Hillary's emails got taken. I'm not surprised that the DNC's systems were hacked. I'm not surprised that all their DCCC like fundraiser and donor stuff was leaked by Guccifer 2.0. I'm not surprised because they're obviously incompetent. These people have no idea how to secure an electronic system. The average Apple user playing Farmville probably has a better idea of how to secure a server apparently than these people do. So I'm not even in the least bit surprised. Why is Robert Creamer, regardless of the Iran deal, why is he speaking with Obama so many times? Why is he visiting the White House so many times when he's been implicated in an attempt, at the very least, to commit electoral fraud, to literally rig the election? This just speaks to the fact that the concerns of some of the more wild and woolly Trump fans, the people who do wear the MAGA hats and so forth, the hardcore supporters, the roughly 1/3 of the electorate that forms his hard support base, their concerns were valid. What Obama himself, not several hours before this video was released, tried to brush aside as whining, which is voter fraud, turns out to be something that's an ongoing deal with Democratic operatives at the highest levels. We're not talking, some low-level staffer got it in their heads to rip up some ballots or something. Well, that can be forgiven, because that's going to happen in any elections, happened before, it's going to continue happening. These people usually get held to account for that. But when you have someone who's heading a rather large PAC, or somebody who's a major operative within such a PAC, or somebody who's a consultant, aka a lobbyist, who speaks directly to Democrats in Congress or something, when they're the ones implicated, it goes a lot further than just, this staffer fudged 10 signatures on something. It's totally different stories. So yeah, it's a little bit suspicious that this is going on, I suppose. I can understand, I guess, now why Obama would decide to drag his balls out onto the campaign trail for Clinton and ramble about how Trump supposedly was whining about the issue, because it turns out he himself might be implicated in it. Did he know that this was going on? Well, I don't expect a thorough and fair investigation. We saw what happened with Clinton. We saw that the State Department directly pressured the FBI in a quid pro quo, or at least attempted to. It looks like the FBI managed to hold off on that. Looks like they pressured Comey. I'm not surprised about all these things. The dirtiest election that we've ever suffered through since, at least the time of Taft and Roosevelt and people like that, when, of course, Teddy Roosevelt didn't like Taft towards the end of his first term. He went out on the campaign trail, actually made Taft break down in tears multiple times, said he was a fat ass, said he was ineffective, he was stupid and inept, didn't know what he was doing, and actually destroyed his presidential bid without winning himself on the independent platform, on the new party he had created, the Bull Moose platform. So yeah, it's a little bit on the suspicious side that Robert Creamer is visiting the White House this many times. It's rather strange, because this is also, remember, a convicted felon. He was a convicted felon before all of this transpired as well. Clinton's going to end up being judged by many people by the company that she keeps. That's about all. Peace out.